a little while later, here's what I found. The mounting posts have broken off from the frame, the motor frame. So I think I'm going to do PR40 and glue that back together. And then perhaps reinforce it with some zip ties. We'll figure it out. And here is a clue as to the age of this, by the way. There is a date code on the GE motor of 9939. So this is indeed from 1999, late 1999. So it is possible it could have been new old stock and sold like in 2000 or something like that. But that's unfortunate what happened to that motor. I would highly suspect that happened in shipping. But where there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to do my best to get this working again. So here's a look at one of the motor mounts. It's got these plastic posts within this rubber insulator for vibration. And I'm going to PR40 this back in place. And once I get that one done, I'm going to do the next one. So I got one glued back on. My plan of action is get these both glued on and then run a zip tie around that. And that should hold everything together. And if there's a little bit of material missing there, that ought to stand it off just enough where it should work. So all it is a couple of number 2 Phillips screws to remove from this GE motor. And while I've got it apart, I may put a couple of drops of oil in it. So screws are removed. Now it's just a matter of that pulls right off of the motor, and I take note of which direction it goes. It should go this way, so I'll put the glue on it. That stuff's getting super thick now. I'm going to have to buy a new bottle pretty soon, but it'll be good enough for this. I believe I'll get just enough out to make a good bond. And then I'll hunt for my zip ties. And I may just go around each post. That might work a little better, just to hold these in place. And we'll see if those will hold in there, and we'll be able to mount the motor back in. There's what they look like set into place. So we'll hope for the best on this. A quick little update. I think I'm going to need a little bit longer screws because they're not biting into the material. Not enough there to work with. But I hit the switch. It's not rubbing on the housing anymore. So that is looking promising. There's the number 3 speed. It's a pretty powerful little fan. So I'll let that glue dry up and leave this alone. And See if there's any additional reinforcing I need to do to this. I'm thinking I may have to loop some cable ties through there. It's a very close operation because it'll rub on that armature of the motor. So we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. First, I just need this PR40 to set up. And I just went ahead and put the cable ties on there and set the motor on there for additional weight. It's a little while later, and here's a look at my handiwork. I mean, this is kind of one of those repair at all cost and any way possible. So the blower needs to set further away on the shaft, so in front of the little C-clip there I've got a small rubber O-ring, and that cushions that just perfectly. And also for stability, I added these grommets on these standoff posts for the motor. I guess it would have originally contacted there, and they're glued in with PR40 on the standoff side, so those are not going anywhere. The motor is very solidly mounted once again, and as I started out with, I put the cable ties around the original motor mounts, added a cable tie around, and just clears the motor shaft, so that won't be an issue. And I have PR40'd it. Need to push that down just a little bit on that one side so that cable tie won't ride up. So we can give it a quick test, see what it sounds like now. Very, very minimal vibration. And that's just because the blower wheel's a little bit out of whack. But that's what it's looking like. I don't see any reason that shouldn't work just fine. I will go ahead and reassemble off camera, and we'll come back here shortly. Well, here's a quick assembly update. I'm making some good progress. I've got all the wires routed where they're supposed to go. Switch is there where it's supposed to go. I've got these 4 Phillips screws in each one of these holes, plus this button to release the top hatch there for the filter. It's spring-loaded and held on by those 2 screws. This guy right here. How about a quick test? Nothing wrong with that, so I will continue on. So we're just about in the home stretch here on getting this reassembled. This piece looks to be a little bit tricky, so gonna very, very, very gently pry that back into place. And I made it. Now, will it work? Pop the filter in. There's that. I would say that works quite a bit better. Very nice.